Hey, what's up, happy people? You're watching Builder Brian, and on today's episode, we're going to be installing an electric invisible fence to keep these pups out of trouble and out of harm's way. Let's dive right into it. So right out of the box, we've got a couple of things. We've got the wire that gets buried underground. This is a transformer that gets plugged into the transmitter. And this is the shock collar. I guess you could call this the receiver. All pretty straightforward. Let's get cracking. First things first, you've got to locate an outlet on an exterior wall next to where you want the electric invisible fence to be installed. I picked this one, and you need to take a really long drill bit, a drill bit longer than your wall is wide, and drill a hole all the way through your wall, because the yellow wire that I just showed you is going to come up and plug into the transformer, and then from the transformer it's going to plug into the transmitter. The reason why I picked this outlet is because it's out of the elements. The instructions show that you want to pick an outlet that's not next to a dryer, a hot water heater, just because it can't get too hot or it can't get too cold or wet. If you have a covered patio with an outlet, that would work. I don't have one, so I'm having to come inside the house with the electrical to wire this up. Because it's getting dark and I want to finish this today, I'm going to go ahead and lay the boundary out right now. And then I'll go ahead and install all this technical stuff on the inside of the home. Here I am about to hammer in some concrete stakes. I'm going to wrap the boundary wire around the concrete stakes so the wire's not flopping around when I'm pulling it across the lawn and around the house. You can now see why those concrete stakes are so helpful. Here I am doubling up the boundary wire. You double up the wire where you want the signal to be canceled, meaning the dog can walk over the top of the wire and not be shocked. This will make more sense later on in the video. Definitely roll this doubled up wire back on the spool, because if you give this any amount of slack, it's going to twist into a giant knot. You can see another boundary wire going under the curb, and it's an old boundary that I'm no longer using, so let's go ahead and ignore that wire. The easiest way for me to hide this wire was just following the contour of my house. It's probably the best place where it's not going to get kicked up by foot traffic. Here I am getting ready to thread this needle through the wall. I'm using a rotor hammer bit and some masking tape. When you're pulling this wire through the wall, make sure you don't pull it so hard to where it comes out of the ground where you buried it. On the outside of the house, I just used some electrical staples, and definitely make sure to caulk the opening. Okay, now we're inside, and I'm gonna cut this new boundary wire to length, just like so. I'm gonna unravel it a bit so I can take some of the plastic off the copper. You'll see why here in a second. Okay, now we got some bare copper. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our transformer and we're gonna take it and we're gonna cram it right into those terminals where it says loop. There you go, now you can see it. The red tabs. Easy. Just gonna twist this around the other wire a little bit before we send it home. Okay. Now we got both wires into our transformer. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this splice. It's about a 10-inch splice, and we're gonna insert it into the transmitter terminals. Got that one in. Got that one in. Just send it home. All right. Now, we're gonna plug this in and screw it directly to our outlet. Just like that. And this wire is the wire to the other boundary that we're not using, but just in case I want to use it down the road, it's accessible. We're just going to put that off to the side for the time being. Next, we're going to put our transmitter on the wall, and it goes on with some mounting hardware here that I'm going to put on now. I had this all mounted to the wall before. I just took it down, and we're doing it again so I can teach you how to get this all installed. Just like that. And we're going to open this up, and we're going to send it into these terminals here. Do one at a time here. Just like that. Now the other one. Okay. And this should slide right on. And I'm just going to push it down gently now. Just like that. And then from our transformer, we're going to connect this pigtail here. I'm going to call it a pigtail. I don't know what it's called, but that's where it goes. And then this gets plugged in to the transmitter right here on the side. Alright folks at home, we're almost there. So just to recap everything that we've just done, we'll start here. This wire we're ignoring. This is to a different boundary, and we're just going to leave it accessible in case we ever want to use it again. This is our new boundary wire. and it goes to our transformer, to our transmitter via pigtail, and our transmitter gets power from the outlet via pigtail. And when we open this transmitter box, we see that we've got power and we've successfully made a complete circuit. And here you can adjust the dial. Right now it's at 3. So for example, when my dog gets in within 3 feet of that buried wire, the system delivers a shock through the collar. And you can adjust it all the way up to 10, but for this situation, I'm keeping it at 3 feet. Everybody meet Henry. This is probably the cutest dog on the planet, but we're getting this fence because of him. Ain't that right, buddy? He is a full-on terrorist. Don't get this guy wrong. Just look at those eyes. He knows it. We know it. Yeah. The only thing left to do is bury the wire in the grass and adjust the collar to the dogs. Unfortunately, we ran out of daylight, so we're just gonna have to wrap things up in the morning. I will see you then. Good morning, happy people. We're back at it, and we're gonna finish this electric invisible fence. So just to go over what we did yesterday, we took this wire and we doubled it up with our drill. And the reason why we double this wire up is because it cancels the signal. This wire goes all the way to the outlet, the transformer, the transmitter that we just installed. And the dogs can walk over this wire all they want and they're not going to get shocked by the collar. But as soon as this doubled up wire goes from double to single, it will deliver a shock. And I just want to point out that this boundary is making a loop. I'm only using this wire from the fence to the house, but because we're dealing with electricity, we have to make a complete circuit. So it's got to go all the way around. And before we bury this wire, you definitely want to test out the collar. So you can hear it beeping. It's doing exactly what we want it to do. And last night I did test this out before I went to bed and it wasn't working. What I had to do was take the battery out and reinsert it, and it was working fine. So if you run into that issue, just mess with the battery and you'll be rocking and rolling. Let's go ahead and bury this wire, and then we'll get the collar adjusted to the dogs. And one more thing I want to point out before we get to burying this wire. I want to point out how we have this gap in between the two wires. Remember how we doubled up this wire? Doubling up the wire cancels the signal. So if these wires were to be too close to each other, the signal would get canceled. The directions state that the wires need to be a minimum of 5 feet apart from each other. Also, it does not like 90-degree angles. So I'm just using these concrete stakes to hold the wire in place as I dig it. And I'm going to round this out as best as I can. Let's get after it. So what I'm doing is I'm using my 4-inch drywall knife to cut through this sod just to make a channel for the wire. And I tell you what, it's doing exactly what I wanted to do. If I was using a shovel, I'd have a huge gouge in my lawn. When I'm done here, I'm just going to get the hose out and hose this little channel, and I bet you won't even notice. Oh my goodness. What kind of bug is that? Wild. Some kind of grub. Every time I run into a a tree root. I just use my oscillator. Seems to be working pretty good. When I say this electric fence is for the dogs, it's actually just for one dog. The big one, that one's mine. The big wolf-looking dog. He's chill. He just likes to hang out by the pond, watch the fish swim around. The other one is my girlfriend's dog, and he wants to eat my turtles. I can't have that. I've had this koi pond for a while. And her dog likes to dig. For whatever reason, his piss just has destroyed my lawn. But hey, we're making the best of it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. What I really need is a bigger property. The dream is to have a huge yard and the dogs can just roam and do whatever they want. But you know, the housing market has just been crazy. It's kind of tough to do that. Hopefully YouTube makes it big. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and like and subscribe. Tells YouTube you like the video, and it gets seen by more people, and it helps me make money and more videos like this one. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Would appreciate that greatly. All right, people, we got that all dug in. All right, happy people. We've got this boundary wire all buried. Now we're ready for our boundary flags. We'll set these all across this boundary, and eventually we'll remove them, but we'll probably wait a couple weeks. We want the dog to know exactly where this wire is buried, so he's not getting shocked and not knowing why. So let's go ahead and place these flags in the yard now. Just like that. I have my half, and he has his half. He can do whatever he wants with his half, as long as he stays out of mine. Okay. Just want to double check and make sure this is working as we want it to. So let's go ahead and give it a little test. Hear the beep there. He's not getting in there. Nothing there. Oh yeah. Beeping, beeping. Haha! Success. So the final step to your electric invisible fence is adjusting the strength of the shock on the collar. Underneath this little knob, this knob unscrews, there's a button. And you can press that button once for the weakest shock, or you can press that button 5 times for the strongest shock. And you'll know what level it's on based on the color indicator light. It'll blink 5 times if it's on level 5. It'll blink once if it's on level 1. And I was thinking, what kind of pet owner would I be if I didn't try this on myself first? It's about to get real. Oh gosh. Oh. Lordy, 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 lordy. Oh. Oh my goodness. This is downright frightening. Nope. That was just the warning. That was just the warning. I didn't get shocked yet. Oh, man, my heart is beating. Oh! 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 Whew. You know what? That was level 5. And I gotta say, that was no fake reaction. I almost went 110% real. I'm definitely gonna take it down to like level 2. I tell you what, this is well worth your money. It works. If you got a stubborn dog, this is gonna work beautifully. This is gonna keep them out of your garden, keep them out of your pond, keep them out of the road. This is a great product. Why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.